All right, today we're going to talk about go-to-market, GTM. What does that mean? Because I hear that word everywhere, and it's a buzzword that's tossed around in boardrooms and in blogs and on LinkedIn without much clear explanation at all. So a go-to-market strategy is the narrative that you craft to introduce your product, to reach the right buyers, and to deliver on the promises that you make. And in this video today, what we're going to learn is we're going to learn how to map your market, how to assess competition and risks, how to articulate a compelling value, select the best channels, set the prices that reflect true value, and build an actionable playbook with internal enablement. We're also going to look at how to track what matters and continuously refine your approach. When we look at all these factors, you'll have a real sense of what go-to-market is in your context and how to apply it to your field or your position or your role. So the first thing that we need to learn how to do is kind of map that market landscape. So before you can launch anything, you have to understand the terrain that you're entering. So all of these are phases that you go through in building a go-to-market strategy. Mapping that market landscape involves really three interlocking steps: dividing the broad market into meaningful segments, deciding where among those segments you can compete most effectively, and then sizing each opportunity so your ambitions stay grounded and you can be most effective in your approach. So let's break that down. We talked about segmenting, positioning, and sizing your opportunity. So let's talk about segmenting. How do you segment and target the marketplace? So you can carve the market into clusters. Maybe by buyer behavior, by company size, by industry need. If you think of account-based outreach, a lot of these same pieces of data come into play. And then you select the clusters that align with your strengths and with your capacity. So this very focused approach, it prevents you from scattering your effort across audiences that will never convert, which is what a lot of marketing teams do. The second piece is positioning and offering. So once you have your target segments in view, then you decide how to describe your product in a way that resonates uniquely. So positioning really is the art of choosing one key benefit or angle and repeating it consistently so that your offering feels memorable and not muddled. Okay, this is a matter of framing. This is a matter of positioning. It's a matter of copywriting. So you have to be, you want to be thinking about Ogilvy, Mad Men. This is a matter of framing and writing. Okay, it's a matter of creative framing. And then third, you have sizing your opportunity. So this final step and the first step is sizing. So you estimate the total demand if everyone in your segment bought. Okay, this is your TAM. And we'll talk about this more in a minute. And then you narrow that to the slice that you can actually reach. So this is your SAM, your SAM. And then hone in what you can capture in the first session of your launch. This is your SOM, your SOM. This three-tiered lens really keeps your goals ambitious and yet realistic. The fourth step here is your competitive and risk assessment. Even the clearest market cap can hide storm clouds on the horizon. So take a deliberate pass at identifying your main competitors in each segment and the risks that could derail your plan. Are there entrenched incumbents with deep relationships? Do you have to overcome those? Do regulatory changes or emerging technologies threaten to shift buyer preferences overnight, right? You really want to surface these factors, and you want to surface them as early as you can. So that you can achieve the opportunity to adapt your positioning and reinforce barriers or try to design contingency plans before you launch. So now that you know who you serve, how big the prizes are, what the challenges are that await you, the next question becomes, what exactly will you promise your audience? What kind of value are you promising to deliver through your product? And so this leads us to point 2, which is crafting a compelling value proposition. So having identified where you can play and the hazards to watch, you now turn to the heart of persuasion, which is the promise you make. Your value proposition must bridge internal capabilities and customer outcomes in a way that feels both credible and uncommon, because you want a unique value proposition, right? So let's start with the first step of crafting a compelling value proposition. First is you want to build on core strengths. So look inside your organization to identify really what you do best, whether that's deep technical expertise or a patented process or an unmatched support. Anchor your promise, the promise of your product, in something competitors cannot easily replicate. So the second step in crafting a compelling value proposition is going to be inviting co-creation, right? Rather than dictating features, open a dialogue with customers through pilot programs and workshops and configurable modules, right? This co-creative approach turns buyers into partners and cements their commitment well before signing with you. And then third, as far as positioning, is you want to translate your features into outcomes. So remember, like whenever you see a product that's hammering on the features of that product, they are missing a big marketing opportunity, because customers, they don't buy products. Customers buy results, not features, right? Read The E-Myth Revisited, fantastic book, right? Explain how your solution reduces operational risk, for example, or accelerates decision-making or unlocks new revenue, right? These are all customer-focused results, not features. And the feature is the method. The feature is the how, but what you're selling is the what, right? What you're selling is the feeling the customer has because they have your product, right? And wherever possible, attach concrete examples to make those outcomes feel tangible. So, with your promises sharpened, you now need a plan for how that promise will actually reach your audience. And, through, what channels are you going to deliver that through? What partnerships are you going to deliver that through? So now we move to part 3 of building a go-to-market strategy, and that's designing channel and distribution strategy. So choosing the right channels is really a balancing act between reach and control and cost. So rather than trying each option in isolation, think of them as parts of an integrated ecosystem. So as part of designing channel and distribution strategy, this can happen in multiple steps as well. The first step is really direct sales and inside teams. Owning that customer relationship gives you control over messaging and feedback. But it requires investment in hiring and training and technology. So this is really for companies that have the budget to do that. Step 2 in designing channel and distribution strategy is building partner ecosystems. So what you want are alliances. You want to build alliances with resellers, reselling vendors, or consultants that can accelerate your market penetration and recommend your product to their customers, especially in new regions or new verticals or new markets. And this is all, of course, provided that you set up like clear incentives and governance for that. Now, the third step in building your channel and distribution strategy is establishing digital touchpoints. So this is going to be webinars, self-serve portals, online ads. These things scale very rapidly and capture leads every hour, yet must be stitched into the broader journey to avoid one-off interactions. So once you've picked your pathways, you must decide how to price your solution so it reflects both its worth to customers as well as your business goals. So now we move on to step 4 of building your go-to-market strategy, which is pricing. And pricing is a reflection of value. This is debated whether this is true or not. This is my take. So this is an opinionated go-to-market 101, but pricing really is not an afterthought. Pricing is the clearest signal that you can send about the value that you deliver. So modern pricing blends economics with psychology to guide customer decisions. So the first step in pricing is really value-based pricing. You want to anchor prices on the surplus your solution creates. Now, what you can do is decide what value is and what value means, and then price based on that, right? So if you think, oh, value-based pricing constrains what I can charge, and I want to charge more than that. Well, if you want to charge more than that, maybe you need to broaden your conception of what value is, right? So that's the time saved, the mistakes avoided, the revenue that's unlocked, right? Rather than so value-based pricing, it doesn't mean internal basing things on internal cost structures or building margins. It means that really the sky's the limit as far as what you can price your product at if you can justify that value. But it forces you to build a rationale for value by setting a price at a certain level. So if you want to set a price at a certain place in order to give yourself advantageous unit economics, assuming a certain sales, closing percentage. You can do that, but you have to do the work in terms of rationalizing that on a value index perspective. The second point in building pricing as a reflection of value is the behavioral techniques. So you want to use behavioral techniques to funnel people towards making the buying decision that you want your buyers to make. So use tiered packages, right? Where you've got like a bronze, silver, and gold package, or a bronze, gold, and diamond is even better, right? Because people want that gold package. Use tiered packages or decay options or anchoring effects to steer buyers towards the plan that balances their needs with their revenue goals. And then the third step in pricing is usage-based and dynamic models. So this would be like a metered billing approach. So for subscription or platform businesses, charging per user or per transaction or for data volume aligns cost with customer success, enabling smaller customers to start affordably and larger ones to scale naturally. So now with your price points set, your next step as setting a GTM strategy is to arm marketing and sales and customer success with a unified playbook that moves prospects smoothly through each stage of the buying journey. So now we look at the fifth stage of building your GTM strategy, which is the sales and marketing playbook. So a GTM playbook transforms strategy into specific actions, giving every team member clarity on what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. So the first step in building a GTM strategy, and again, this is an opinionated go-to-market 101 video introduction, right? But in my view, the first step is always going to be content strategy, because that's where framing comes in and gives the rationale for everything else that you do. So from blog posts to white papers, you want to craft thoughtful leadership pieces that address the key questions and objections that your target buyers face. Step 2 in your GTM playbook is going to be outbound and personal outreach. So equip your sales team with email sequences and call frameworks and objection handling scripts that resonate with each persona's priorities. Step 3 in your GTM playbook is going to be onboarding and customer success. So design onboarding rituals. These are checklist calls and training sessions and success milestones that ensure customers experience that click, that aha moment early, cementing loyalty with you. And then finally, within this section is organizational readiness and enablement. So even the best playbook fails if teams really aren't equipped to execute. So invest in training programs that teach your GTM processes, select tools that automate repetitive tasks, and establish clear governance over roles, and also clear governance over metrics and decision rights. Because when every function, marketing, sales, product, and success, shares the same goals, dashboards, and workflows, your strategy gains the muscle it needs to actually launch effectively. So no playbook succeeds without measurement. You need a way to know what's working and where to double down. This moves on to the sixth stage of your GTM strategy, which is defining and tracking key metrics. So metrics turn hypotheses into insights. And by choosing a balanced set of indicators, you ensure your GTM narrative remains grounded in data, right? One piece of data. Here's a list of the data that you need. Number 1, financial metrics, like customer acquisition costs, CAC, and lifetime value, LTV. These show economic viability for your product and your company. Number 2 is customer metrics, like churn rate, net promoter score, NPS score, to gauge satisfaction and loyalty. Number 3, process metrics. These are lead conversion rates, sales cycle length, things like that. These highlight operational efficiency. And then 4th is going to be learning and growing metrics. So time to ramp new hires, training hours, measure your team's ability to scale. It's important to remember that measurement alone isn't enough. You have to feed those insights back into your GTM engine for ongoing refinement. Otherwise, there's no point in measuring. And then the 7th stage of our GTM strategy is embracing iteration and agile principles. So markets evolve and customer expectations shift and new challenges emerge. So a living GTM strategy adapts through structured experimentation. So the first part of embracing iteration and agile principles is you want to build this cycle into your process called the build, measure, learn cycle. So the build, measure, learn cycle is basically where you treat every new message every new channel test or pricing tweak as an experiment. You launch quickly. You compare results against clear benchmarks, and you refine your approach based on what you learn. The second step in embracing iteration and agile principles is you do agile sprints in GTM. So organize marketing and sales initiatives into short, focused sprints and define sprint goals like testing an email sequence and review the outcomes of that sequence at the sprint's end and iterate on both process and content. So that's it, right? That is the overall process of building a GTM strategy. Is you've got this mapping the marketplace, right? You assess competition and risks. You articulate a compelling value. You select the best channels. You set prices that reflect the true value. You build an actionable playbook with internal enablement. You track what matters, and you continuously refine your approach through an agile methodology. So a successful go-to-market strategy lives and breathes through really three guiding imperatives, if I could sum it all up. It's that number one, stay customer-centered. Let real buyer insights shape every decision from which segments you pursue to the messages you test. So your strategy always answers genuine needs rather than internal assumptions. Number two, operate with data and discipline. So measure a tight set of metrics. This is acquisition cost, lifetime value, churn, conversion rates, and review them consistently. Use your win-loss debriefs and short cycle experiments to root out what drives growth and eliminate what doesn't. And then finally, number three, embrace continuous refinement. Treat your GTM plan as a living document. Run rapid build, measure, learn loops on messaging and channels and pricing. Let each outcome inform the next iteration, keeping your approach agile in the face of shifting markets and emerging opportunities. Centering your execution on these three pillars while you run these 7 steps of building a go-to-market strategy ensures that your product doesn't merely reach its audience, but that it earns enduring adoption and advocacy and scalable momentum. So that's GTM, that's Go-to-Market 101. Send this to somebody who needs to hear it.